on my way to Barcelona because I have a weekend plan ahead in Barcelona to attend a dermatology conference. So I thought, why not use this opportunity to show you guys the conference itself, the people that I'm going to meet, and also I wanted to check out my new pocket camera, which is a DJI Pocket 2. So yeah, looking forward to it. Hopefully the video quality is clear and the sound quality is good as well.
It's a new day for a high, yeah. It's a new day for good times. I just turn the page, let it write what it likes. And ooh, yeah, I feel it now. Every atom in my body feels okay. Yeah. It's a new day for good times. Yeah, yeah.
Haha.
To hotels and things.
Oh, you would check.
First
And
thing the author he goes
swimming.
So just a bit like,
Oh, thank you. It's on the fifth floor.
This is amazing. This hotel room is probably really fancy. So fancy that I don't think I've ever stayed in such a hotel room before. Room is huge, very clean, very bright, lots and lots of space. And it smells really nice as well. So I am very happy. Oh, yeah.
Because in psoriasis, the evolution of the pathogenesis.
But unfortunately, not all of them actually receive therapy. Some of them.
I'm just confused. So what is the difference now between the cream, the gel, the ointment?
I realized as I get older, one of the things I've learned is to care less about your surroundings, about what people think. I'm more comfortable with my own skin now, and I think that makes a whole lot of difference when it comes to going to conferences, meetings, meeting new people. I need to keep challenging myself to do things that I probably wouldn't feel comfortable doing in the past. And what I meant was for this course and also for the past few courses really, I have been trying to push myself to go up to random strangers and say hi and strike a conversation. It really helps you build connections, relationships, open new doors and experiences to other people's lives. And as you can see, this is the beach in front of us. So far yet so near. We've got the fence between us and the beach. Actually, I don't feel that self-conscious. Like, do you? Hi everyone, I am now back in the car. I have just had quite a long day actually, back-to-back clinics in the hospital. And so yeah, I'm feeling quite tired. I also am on call this evening. So when I say on call, it's out of hours, non-resident on call. So I've kept my phone on loud and yeah, just mentally preparing myself to get called at any point in time tonight. Hopefully no calls, but you never know. And sometimes if it's something urgent, you will need to go in and have a look at the patient. So fingers crossed, everything goes smoothly tonight. Today in clinic, I saw quite a few patients, both lesions and generals, and both new and follow-ups. I find new patients slightly more straightforward because they come in as a blank slate. You don't really have much history to fall back on. And so it's quite fast because all you've got to do is just look at the lesion or the rash and make a clinical diagnosis after, of course, taking a focused history. The idea with lesions, I feel, is from my time working so far in dermatology, if you find a lesion that you're not comfortable with, instead of pondering over it and losing sleep, sometimes it's best to take a biopsy, tell us if it's benign or malignant. If it's a bandor benign lesion, such as a seborrheic keratosis or nevus, then of course you can reassure the patient and discharge. Sometimes if you're not sure, and if it's at a cosmetically sensitive area, we can sometimes take clinical photographs and ask the patients to monitor themselves or bring them back in clinic in about 3 to 6 months' time to check for any history of change. Follow-up patients, I think it again all depends on the complexity of patients. Sometimes we see patients who are on skin cancer follow-up, so they've had skin cancers removed before and they're really just here as a routine follow-up for a full skin check, lymph node check, and a palpation of the abdomen for any hepatosplenomegaly. In that case, if you don't find anything, it's very straightforward, and then there is a protocol or guideline that you can follow to see when they should come back next. But sometimes, especially for generals, and when I mean generals, I mean patients who present with anything other than a lesion, so it can be any kind of rash. It can be quite complicated, especially if you don't know what it is, and if they have had multiple treatments already and failed them, or the biopsy doesn't really fit the clinical picture, and so you have to go back to square one and take a history and re-examine the skin and really figure out what is causing the rash. This morning I've had a patient who presented in clinic with a very odd rash that comes and goes, and it was associated with some joint pains, and she was quite certain that it was not her normal osteoarthritic pain. And interestingly, because she was admitted for the same condition, she had some blood tests done which showed raised inflammatory markers, white cell count, and neutrophils. And so we thought, could all these things be related or linked, or whether one of them was a red herring? So the rash looked to me urticarial. Again, in dermatology, nothing is black and white. Sometimes it can be very obvious, like a bandor urticated rash, and the patient would give a very proper history of the rash that comes and goes within 24 hours, extremely pruritic, raised, blotchy. But other times it's not very obvious, so you'd have to really gauge and use your clinical experience and assessment to see if this is indeed urticaria, or is this kind of urticated rash, or is there some kind of non-specific dermatosis. It can be quite complicated, and all these things can take a lot of time. I guess this makes dermatology very interesting. The other thing that I've realized from clinic today is that one of the consultants was off, and so I had to do clinics with another middle grade doctor. The consultant who was supposed to be supervising me, she had a meeting, so we agreed that I would see the patients myself first and then would discuss the patients after the clinic. So I realized that actually doing your own clinic is significantly quite different from you seeing the patient and presenting to the consultant during clinic, because when you're actually making your own decision, I feel more responsibility for the patients, and everything just kind of causes a new complexity, because actually you're now making the definite decision for patients and you really don't want to miss anything out.
We got time on our side. We're in a state of hope. I need you on my fire. I want you to know that every time you're away, I long for you so much I can find my way. We got everything here.
Hi everyone, it's a brand new day, brand new morning. I am now going through a few emails and also doing my CED review of a journal article, because I am a bit late in submitting the recommendation. So CED, if you don't know, is a dermatology journal that I think a lot of the dermatologists in the UK and even across the world have used, just because it is very good. It's a very clinical type of journal where it presents articles on things that you see in clinics and even the rare ones, and offers practical treatment options. So I'm one of the journal reviewers, and sometimes they send you articles for you to review and make recommendations whether to accept or reject. Here I am reading through the articles and trying to decide whether it is worth publishing or not.
To stay alive and the time that we share.
Alright guys, I am now taking a stroll outside my house just for a little walk, because it's really sunny, though it's very windy, so it's kind of cold. But yeah, it's after 5, almost 6 really, but it's still so sunny because the summer is almost here. I'm quite lucky to live next to a nice little path that goes into a forest. It's quite nice, it's quite peaceful. So today was quite a busy day. In the morning we had a biopsy list, and I really like doing biopsies because they are very practical, not much paperwork. And I did a few incisionals and excisions of my patients' temples, which was really nice. Afterwards, we had CME. This stands for Continuing Medical Education, I think. And this is where we discuss any interesting clinical cases with other dermatologists in the department, and also outside of our local department in other hospitals. During COVID, our CMEs were changed to virtuals, where we discussed patients' cases through Microsoft Teams with photographs. With post-COVID era, we are moving back to doing it face-to-face. So this was one of the first few face-to-face sessions. I actually haven't done face-to-face during my training before, because when I got my number, it was during COVID, and so everything was virtual. So it was actually quite nice seeing patients in person, discussing their cases and management plans with other consultants in the department in person as well. I quite like the interaction.
Makes it all worthwhile. Got this place on our own. Do you feel that we got something strong? And I saw you walking the line, and the truth may come as a surprise that with you I feel alive. You'll be the last
now I'm back in the car. I just had a run with Aaron. We had to cut it short, unfortunately, because I had thought I lost my dead cat, which is the muffler thing on the microphone. So I was panicking and I was thinking to myself, oh, how silly I was losing it. But it turns out that the dead cat was in my bag all along. I just left it there and didn't bring it out. So yeah, so I had to cut the run short, but it was a fairly good run. I really enjoyed myself running outside. I have got Marks & Spencer's sushi. It's called Katsu Chicken Dragon Roll. I'm dying to try it. It looks so yummy. So I'm going to have it post-run as I chat with you guys about my day. So I had a long day today. At work, I was in clinic today and then on call in the afternoon. We've got a new doctor working just now, a clinical fellow. I was trying to kind of explain how the department works to her, and so that took quite a bit of time. One of the GPs actually referred a patient who had a blistering rash, and we're not sure what it is. When you see blistering rash, you think about common things like, is this a drug cause? Is this infection? Is this immunobullous? Blisters that this patient had was not typical of bullous pemphigoid, where usually it's more large bullae, tense looking at the proximal trunk, sometimes at extremities as well. For this patient, they look quite monomorphic, very widespread, symmetrical. So the consultant was thinking, oh, could this be some kind of herpes or even varicella zoster? And so, yeah, we've treated her with acyclovir, and I've taken a swab, and we'll see how it goes.